Hello guys, and welcome to my 23rd video tutorial on XHTML and CSS. In this video I want to show you how to use radio buttons and checkboxes. So the first thing I want you guys to do is create a simple web page with all the tags needed, and I'm gonna save this in my desktop as radio check.html, and we can start creating our first radio buttons. Now I want to talk about the value property before we jump into radio buttons and checkboxes. So I'm going to show you pretty much how you can use it in two different ways. So let's just type a username and create an input. Input type equals text. Now let's give it a name, property name. Let's call it username, and a value. So this is a simple input that I've created we could use it in a form for a username or login form. And in the input, at the end of the input, I've created a new property called value. Now value, it's a pretty cool property that you can use in your inputs or in your buttons. Let's say you have a button here, and but let's do it first with the text. So we have an input text to put some text in it, call username, and the value, for now let's just leave the value with nothing, and let's run this in Chrome. Okay, this is a little bit too big. Okay, so here it is. This is the output. Username and an input that you can type whatever you want. Now if I type in the value, let's say put your name here and save it, you'll see that when I refresh, some forms used to have this, or it's a good way to place some words so the user know where he needs to put the name, or what he needs to put in the input box that you are referring to with the value. So put your name here, or you can also use this with a button. If you type, let's say I'm going to create a button, input button, we don't need the username here, input type button username, and let me just open this, refresh. Okay, we have a button, but nothing inside a button that says click it or submit. So let's type click here, and you'll see right away the result. Okay, click here, you can type something like submit. Okay, so form is a way you value is a property that you can use to type something in it. Now let's jump straight away to radio buttons. Now radio buttons are used usually in forms to for choices, for register forms or login forms, or if you buy some stuff and you want different choices to make in a form. So I'm going to show you right away how to do one. So we have to create a form first. Close form. And now let's create an input type, and here we type radio. Okay, so the form knows it's a radio button, and here sex, and here we type, for example, value equals male, and let's close it, and here we type male. So let's say this is a register form, and we are making the two different choices for the user to check if it's a male or a female. Now we can type line break here. Oops, sorry. Here, and now another input, pretty similar to the first one. Radio, name equals sex, and value equals female, and here we type female. Okay, now let me save this and run this in Chrome, and there it is. Okay, so you can either choose male or female. Okay, and you can obviously you can use these for a bunch of different choices on a form, as I said, in a login form or in a register form, and you can place more choices if you want to. Okay. Oops, I forgot to close here the form. Obviously, this will have more functionality, or will have more logic when you use PHP to send the form to a server and process all the form for a registered user with the database. But don't worry, you will learn all that in the PHP chapter. Okay, for now, let's just learn how to use the radio buttons and the checkboxes in a form. Now, these are radio buttons, and a checkbox. You have to also use it in a form, and it's also an input type, and pretty similar, but instead of radio you type checkbox. Name equals, and let's type here car, and here let's type the value equals to BMW, and let's close it, and here we can type BMW and BR. Now let's type pretty much the same thing. Checkbox, name equals car, value equals, and here we can type Ferrari, and Ferrari, and that's pretty much it. Well, I'm going to put just one more. You can copy this and put it here. Instead of Ferrari, let's type Mercedes. Mercedes. Okay, so let's pretend I'm a buyer, and this is a form to buy whatever car I want, and let me run this right away in Chrome. Here it is. Okay, so I have these three different choices that I can, these different cars that I wish to have the money to buy it, but let's pretend I'm gonna buy some mini cars. So a BMW, a Ferrari, and a Mercedes. So the difference between checkboxes and radio buttons is that you can choose the checkboxes. You can choose as many as you want. Sorry, and radio buttons you can only choose one of the choices. Okay, so as you can see, I can have all three, or the two of these, or just one, or none. Okay, I can check and uncheck. So that's it. that's pretty much it. This would work perfectly in buying a form with the PHP and a database for each user and all that. Don't worry. As I told you before, you'll learn all that in the PHP chapter. So that's it for this video. See you guys in the next video. Bye.